pretty much up to date always on my nails, but my nails is not looking on fleek because it's all natural. And so some people have asked me, okay, why are you going all natural with your nails? And I know my YouTube channel audience is predominantly females, so maybe some of the females saw it and they realized that I haven't done my nails. Maybe the males noticed it too, but nobody really commented on it. So that's that. But I really noticed a difference just going all natural. And so there was a friend who asked me, why are you not doing your nails? Not that I care, but you've been always doing your nails. And it's not a permanent thing, but I decided to originally take off my nails because I was working on a character for a scene. But then even after that was done, I just kept not doing it, simply because I felt like I lost touch with why I started doing my nails in the first place. And it's so much, if I had to pinpoint it, it has to do with a more of a, what do you call it? Marcus Aurelius, is that his name? Marcus Aurelius, who is really big on Stoicism. And the only reason why I know Marcus and his meditations book is because of Ryan Holiday and Tim Ferriss and all of that. And that's really how I know anything about Stoicism. But I remember Tim Ferriss had this goatee and he talked about how he's practicing Stoicism, in which, let's say, a rich, wealthy man will go ahead and wear clothing of a homeless individual, let's say, in order to humble yourself. And it's not even humbling yourself, it's forcefully putting yourself in a position where you have to not care what other people think of you, right? And so that was the reasoning behind the Stoic philosophy of, let's say, Tim Ferriss going with a goatee in his recent PR. When I say recent, about 2 years ago. And for me, I feel like I lost touch a little bit on why I did my nails. And originally, it was partially just because I thought it was aesthetically pleasing. I detected that the kind of guy that I want to be with also would appreciate a woman who's always doing her nails. And then thirdly, just because I always saw my mom doing her nails, and I think there's a part of me, maybe the Japanese side, that always looked up to that. Like, okay, like you are a successful woman if you always have your nails done. And I guess there's a part of me that really related to my mother because she did gel, so I did gel as well. And she did natural on gel, so I also did natural on gel. And only periodically I would go acrylic, but I would always go back to gel. I think just because it creates that kind of relationship and synergy, not just with my mom, but with Japanese people or Japanese women in general. But I think it's more so just about my relationship with my mom, and it just makes me feel closer even though I'm not with her. But it's easy to forget all of that and just get into the routine, just like brushing your teeth. You forget, why do I brush my teeth? It's not something you think every day because you go into a routine, right? And then it's not until you go to a dentist perhaps, or something happens, hopefully not something negative, but usually something negative like a toothache, whatever, you realize how important flossing and brushing your teeth is, even though it's a daily ritual you already do. But maybe you stopped caring so much about brushing your teeth for a full 3 minutes. Instead, you've only done it for 1 minute and you thought it was good enough, or whatever it may be. And it's not until something happens that you realize, oh, this is why I do it. So I wanted to take this off and really see what I thought of it, I guess, in some ways. And then I really concluded that, you know, for me, for my nails, it's something that's very superficial and aesthetically pleasing. It also has different attachments towards it, both on a, I would say, spiritual, emotional level, and on a superficial, materialistic level, which I wanted to get into a little bit because I think, for example, I did a video on money. You could check that out, I'll put in the description, and I did a thought process on your relationship with money. And I think this goes along with the same thing in terms of people who are extremists in terms of, are you a superficial person and materialistic person, or are you a spiritual person who's humble and down to earth? I have a really huge problem with people who are extremists like this, because I think in order to live here on earth in the most efficient way possible and thinking about humanity and the earth and everybody in it as a whole, you have to believe in both. You cannot be living in this la land and pretending everything doesn't exist, of spirituality and another dimension and all of this stuff. It's very selfish way of thinking and going about your life without thinking about everybody. And yes, the superficiality of earth, the materialism that earth brings, because earth is superficial, earth is materialistic. That's why we are here. Our body is here. It's materialistic, right? So for people to say, well, you have to avoid all of that, that's not true. Even monks don't do that. They actually really live into the materialism of the world. They don't ignore it. They don't believe that it is wrong, right? And I feel like people have that misconception when they're extremists. And on the other hand, extremists of people who are living too much into that superficial materialistic, and they don't live into the spirituality of it, the emotion, the depth of why things are the way they are, then they become soulless, right? They miss entirely of why we do the things we do and what makes materials beautiful, right? And I always say money is a great example, because I think a lot of times people either think it's just the spiritual, it's just energy, and I feel like sometimes people try to convince themselves it's energy, or the other hand, it's so superficial, it's so materialistic. But when in reality, it's actually both. It's not one or the other. It's very materialistic, it is very superficial, it's also extremely spiritual and extremely giving and loving. It's both, and it's married into one. And yeah, so that's just something I've been thinking about all due to this. So that's just something I've been thinking about. So by the time I do get my nails done, because I do want to get my nails done, that I understand the artistry that goes into it. I understand that the nail technician has done this for years and years, and when she's being very meticulous on my nails, because my nails are really small and my hands are small, so it's actually really hard for a nail technician to do my nails, that I have that level of appreciation once again, and I didn't go into the routine of, okay, I'm just getting my nails done again, I'm just getting my nails done again, right? That now I can go back into grace and go back into the gratitude of what that really means, right? And what it means for me as a woman to be able to go to a nail salon and get my nails done. What that means to me personally, that I've reached a point where I can make those kind of decisions. I can make a decision to do it, to not do it, right? And it's a privilege. It's a privilege that most women, is in terms of the whole entire world, cannot do. And so having that level of appreciation, again renewed, and just always rebalancing things. It's the reason why when I went to Vipassana meditation, was just a 10-day silent meditation retreat. Basically, you're not allowed to talk to anybody for 10 whole days. You're silent and you're meditating from 5 a.m. to the morning till 10 p.m. at night, and you're basically living like a monk for 10 days. That was the most easiest thing I've ever done in the world. And I wondered, it was weird because I was almost disappointed at the end of the 10 days that I didn't feel like I really got anything out of it, got much out of it. But then I realized, you know what? It's actually probably a good thing that I didn't get anything out of it. In terms of, I thought I was going to have some sort of revelation, or I don't know, just maybe something would come to me, because it seems like everybody else who have went, it's helped them tremendously. But I think it's probably helped a lot of people who are living into the superficialities of the world tremendously, who think that they're spiritual. Because the thing is, if you're stressed about money, let's say, if you're stressed about money, that's because you're living too much into the superficiality of life and not enough into the spirituality of life. And on the other spectrum, if you're in too much into the spirituality, you might miss what it means to be here on earth, and the spirituality and the humanity as a whole, in terms of how you can affect other people in a materialistic world. Because let's say if somebody is hungry, you can materialistically give them food, right? And so we have to always balance that. So when it comes to something like Vipassana, and I literally went to Walmart to buy sweats because I didn't own a pair of sweats, and they said you need to wear some loose clothing. So I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna wear sweats and the ugliest shirt that I can find. I'm gonna buy it because I clearly don't have ugly shirts. And so I bought that, and then when I went there, I saw a lot of people act like it was a fashion show. Of course, this is LA, so of course they think it's a fashion show, even though on the rules it distinctly said you don't want to stand out, right? Because it's not about standing out. It's not about trying to express yourself or your personality through your clothing. It's about going within. So I took it very seriously as far as that goes. I have a video on my Vipassana meditation experience, so you can click on that video as well if you want. But the point being that I think it didn't affect me as much because I really periodically, I do stuff like this, which in hindsight, from other people's viewpoint, it might not seem like much, but the reasoning why I'm doing certain things is just me constantly trying to experiment on different things just so I can get back to my equilibrium, whatever that means. Because sometimes I go too much into the spirituality side, sometimes I go too much into the superficial side, and I find that I just need to reboot a lot, right? I just need to reboot and go back to the middle where I have both, and I'm married to both because we do need both. And to think that you need to void something, one or the other, in order to thrive in life, because that I feel like in our culture today, that seems to be the misconception, that either you're the wolf of Wall Street and you have to be highly into your superficial self, or you have to be a Mother Teresa. And even Mother Teresa wasn't, yeah, but anyway, you have to be just purely spiritual in order to thrive and go forth in that world. But I believe that if you want to affect humanity in a positive way, that you need to marry both and go forth in both lanes, like all together, equally, so you can affect the people who are here today and feed yourself so you can feed other people. I think Oprah is the epitome of that as an example. She has her spiritual side. She's very in tune. She's very soulful, you would say, and you can tell just the way she operates her business. But then again, very superficial, very materialistic. If you look at her business sense, that's materialism, that's superficiality. She's really living into earth as it is today, and she's not afraid of that. And she's really the epitome of what I think is somebody who has successfully married both. And look at her. That I truly believe that when you do that in your own lifetime, not borrowed by your family's lifetime over the years and decades, her own lifetime, she was able to accomplish the things she has. And I truly believe it's because she has married both successfully, and she's able to go back to that equilibrium. Even if you see some of her interviews, you'll hear words that says, I was a little bit out of tune, right? So whether it be superficiality, and she was thinking about the ratings too much, and then she decided, no, I'm going to go here, right? Or she went into too much superficial. No, I'm going to also think about the business sense, the business side of it here, right? So she married both of it, and she's done that very successfully. And it's a great example of that. So that is why I took off my nails. Stoicism, not entirely stoicism, but I was just thinking about that, and I thought I wanted to share really what that is to me, and if it helps anybody of just thinking about where am I living right now? Am I living too much into my spirituality? Am I living too much into my materialistic side? How can I have the best of both worlds? How can I create that yin and yang within myself? And just always balancing that out, always testing things out. And I'm a big fan of just testing things out. Maybe that's the marketing years going inside my personal life now, or it's just something that I think I honestly always done. So, and it's worked out very well for me. as far as I can tell. So anyway, I will see you on the next video. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that like button for the algorithm, and I will see you on the next video.